Hey, everybody, and welcome to Friday, the 19th of June. This is Feel Good Friday. I wanted to share with you some thoughts about the way we interpret the world we're living in, the life we live, and how okay it is when our interpretation may not actually line up with what actually happened. And that can feel really good. Back in April at our Easter service, our Easter Day, or Easter Vigil and our Easter Day service, there's an artist in Brandon named Weiming Zhao, and he is incredible. He just goes around and paints things, and he hasn't done a lot of inside painting, but he agreed to come to the cathedral to paint um, the Easter Vigil service on the Saturday night and the Easter Day service. And then recently he came on June 1st, he came and he painted the ordination of Leon Morehouse. I haven't seen that painting yet, but I can't wait to see it. Um, Rob bought me the original painting of the Easter Day service, and here it is. I'm going to see if I can get it all in there for you to see. Okay, so there's the top and there's the bottom. Okay, so he- no, you can't see that. So I'm going to move this so you can see all of it as I'm speaking. The thing is, in this painting, this person in red here, that's me. Um, and this person in front of me, that's the dean, Chris, and he was the celebrant. So in the Anglican Church, the celebrant wears a chasuble. It's like a big poncho, and he wears that. Now, in this painting, you can see up in the pulpit. Where is he? Where'd the pulpit go? Up here. If you look carefully, you can see the dean is up there too, and he's painted twice, wearing the same chasuble. Wei Ming, what he's done is he's taken different parts of the service and he's painted them into one painting. He's sharing with people the essence of what was happening in the whole of the service. So if I keep going, then you can see people gathered on both sides, and the choir and the crucifer and everybody were in the procession. We're marching up, we're singing and moving up into the church on Easter Day in celebration. And he did the same thing for the Easter Vigil. In the Easter Vigil, he's got me standing we had the lower altar, and he's got me standing up here, and he's got me sitting over here as well. It's incredible. The reason I wanted to highlight that for you is that, well, yes, somebody who was at that service would be able to tell you that indeed that was not a true rendering of what was happening in that moment. But it is also, at the same time, two things that are completely opposite can be true at the same time in this case. It was also exactly what was happening in that moment. Rather than painting what was literally happening, Wei Ming has taken aspects of the service and he has painted them all into the service at once. So that on a quick pass, on a quick look at what this painting is, you see all of what was happening. You see all of what was happening on that Easter day. And it's the only thing he didn't do is put Chris up behind the altar, which I think he has done in the Easter Vigil service. That I think Chris and I are both like two or three places at once. But the beauty of it is that we don't have to remember it the way it was. There's plenty of things, like if you're being a witness in um, in a court case or something, it's important that you remember things exactly as they happened. Now, people will argue that we don't really do that, that our memory, our emotions, the shock of something will change the way we remember things. But there are times when it's important that we remember things exactly the way they were. But I would argue that most of the time, what's more important is how we remember things in our heads. How has our soul, our mind, our psychology, our psyche pulled things together that we might remember them? And when that can go for good or bad things, I'd like to focus here on the good things though. Like for instance, the first date, a wedding, um, the first time you held your child, the first time somebody gave you flowers, the first time somebody told you that you remember, somebody said, "Well done, good job." it doesn't, the way we remember them probably isn't anything close to exactly the way things were if we videotape them. And that's one of those things about the world we're in today is with everybody having phones and videotaping things, we also know that different angles pick up different things as well. That even a video of a situation may not tell the whole truth. But I think that we are running the risk of, with all these being able to videotape everything, we're running the risk of not being able to actually create the memory and then live in that memory ourselves, like this painting that Wei Ming has done. He has not caught the actual essence of the moment when we were walking in. That's not actually how it happened because Chris was not in two places at once. But what he's done is he has recalled for us all of the things that were happening and given us a memory of what was happening within the community, what was beautiful, and how people were feeling, and all of the things. And I think that's really important for all of us that we don't get so hung up on whether or not that was exactly the way something happened. We do that a lot with people, with their kids and things like that. Like, is that really what happened? I think what really matters the most is how people remember that. Because whether that's the way it really happened, that's not how they're dealing with it. If they're remembering a beautiful thing, they're not necessarily remembering exactly what happened. They're remembering how it is in their head, what parts they didn't remember and their imagination has filled in. Or they're taking out the things that maybe weren't so good. Like maybe the first time their partner said, I love you, was right after they'd had a big fight and they realized that they did love each other. Are you going to hang on to that part? Probably not. Over the years, I can't remember what happened, but I remember when he told me he loved me. Or that first time your child just runs up to you and gives you a big hug just because. The context of what was happening, does it really matter? Sometimes absolutely the context matters, but sometimes context, it's fluff. Sometimes we just need to allow ourselves to remember those good things and live in that moment. Like every time I see this painting, I'm going to live in the moment, not of when I was walking up the aisle singing the first hymn, carrying my crozier, which means I didn't have a hymn book in my hand. What I'm going to remember is what it felt like to be able to walk up the aisle. That was right after I got rid of the cast on my foot. And I was able to walk up the aisle, and I was glad to have my crozier or my staff because it was like a cane. But I'm going to remember the beauty of that Easter day and the power of that Easter, that whole Holy Week and Easter Vigil. The Thursday before that, I had been at the prison washing people's feet. And that's a part of what I was thinking of that day as I walked up toward the altar on Easter Day. Wei Ming has captured the essence of my memories and painted them all together. And just because the painting isn't technically correct doesn't mean the painting isn't beautifully perfect. That's the way we need to think about our memories, especially the good ones. It really doesn't matter as much about whether or not it's exactly the way it happened, as long as what it means to us in our hearts is exactly what it means to us in our hearts. So as you go about your day and your weekend, I pray that you think on many things that make you feel good, on many memories that maybe didn't happen exactly the way you remember them, but for whatever reason your brain and your psyche have allowed you to hold on to them in this special way that when you bring them up, it brings you peace. I hope you have peace this weekend. Remember things the way you want, and don't worry about what the rest of the world says. Have a great day, and God bless.